The Maimer in Mamorim Ulukotim. This is in Chelik Gimel over here. This is the 14th Maimer, and this is Shabbos Parshas Pekudei ha'tshel Lamed. And later on, they gave out the Maimer for the Rebbitzin, birthday. The Rebbitzins' birthday is on Chof Hei Oder. So in the year Tinose, Toshinun Aleph, they published the Maimer, and that's what we're going to be learning now. So beside the Shmaya, Shabbos Parshas Pekudei ha'tshel Lamed. Eile Pekudei hamishkon, Mishkan ha'edus asher pukad al pi Moshe Gomer. So this is the beginning of the parsha that says that Eile, and the pashtus, the following is the Pekudei hamishkon, is the counting of the Mishkan, the various different kelim and the various different funds that came in for the kelim. There is Pekudei HaMishkan. So should have said Pekudei HaMishkan, then say Asher Pukad al pi Moshe, or continue. Why does it say Pekudei HaMishkan, Mishkan ha'edus Asher Pukad al pi Moshe Gomer? These are the counting of the Mishkan. Then he says, what Mishkan? Mishkan ha'edus, the Mishkan of the testimony. A Mishkan of a testimony that the Eibishter, as Rashi points out, that the Eibishter had forgiven the Yidden for the Chet HaEgel. That's why the Eibishter made a Mishkan. So the Pasuk says, Pekudei HaMishkan, which Mishkan? It's the Mishkan ha'edus Asher Pukad al pi Moshe. So why does it have to say Mishkan ha'edus? Why not say Pekudei Mishkan or Pekudei Mishkan ha'edus? Why Pekudei Mishkan ha'edus? V'yadu ha'diuk. So the question, the diuk of what the pasuk, the way the pasuk writes it. Mashekosuv hamishkan mishkan beis pa'amim. That it says two times the Mishkan ha'edus. And as we'll learn, there's two madregas, two spiritual different levels in which the Shekhinah descends, one in the level of Mishkan Stam, and then another level in the Mishkan ha'edus, the Mishkan of testimony, as the Rebbe will explain in the Maimer. Gam tzarich lahavin. Also, we need to understand Mishkan ha'alef nemar Mishkan Stam. By the first one, it says just Eile Pekudei HaMishkan. Doesn't say Eile Pekudei HaMishkan ha'edus. Or Mishkan ha'beis nemar Mishkan ha'edus. But by the second time, it says Mishkan, the Mishkan of the Edus. Okay, so that is the question: why two times Mishkan, and why the second time the Mishkan ha'edus? What is the meaning of Mishkan ha'edus versus Mishkan Stam? Gam tzarich lohavin. Also, we have to understand Mashekosuv asher pukad al pi Moshe. That was counted by Moshe. Pukad al pi Moshe. So, which is the on what is it going? Pukad al pi Moshe. Is it going on Pekudei HaMishkan or on the Mishkan ha'edus? You can say Eile Pekudei HaMishkan, and then as if it says Asher Pukad al pi Moshe, or Eile Pekudei HaMishkan, Mishkan ha'edus Asher Pukad al pi Moshe. Let's see. The Rebbe brings down two pshatim. Tzarich la'ov mashekosuv asher pukad al pi Moshe. The Shnei Pirushim Bozeh, there are two interpretations. Number one, Shekoya the Samachlei. It goes on what's right next to it. So it's Mishkan ha'edus asher pukad al pi Moshe. That al Mishkan ha'edus, on the Mishkan ha'edus. The Mishkan ha'edus is what was counted by Moshe. Lochein nemar pukad loshin yochid. And that's why it says pukad. The beginning it says pikudei. And here it says asher pukad, that the Mishkan was a single loshin yochid. Kirak Mishkan echad pukad al pi Moshe, because it was take only one Mishkan. It wasn't Pekud, it wasn't other parts of the Mishkan, but it was just this one Mishkan, singular, that was counted by Moshe, Asher Pukad Moshe. Bechinas Mishkan HaEdus. So that would be the Mishkan HaEdus specifically was Pukad al pi Moshe. The rest of the Mishkan, when we count all the different parts, that's Pikudei HaMishkan. But Mishkan HaEdus Asher Pukad al pi Moshe, that specifically the Mishkan Edus was counted by Moshe. That's one pirush. But the other pirush says no. That it goes on the Eila Pekuda Mishkan. Asher Pukad al pi Moshe koyi klolus HaMishkan. That was counted by Moshe goes on general Mishkan, not only a Mishkan HaEdus Asher Pukad al pi Moshe, but it's the Pekuda Mishkan were Pukad al pi Moshe. Gam al Bechinas Mishkan Stam. Also on the Stam Mishkan, not Mishkan HaEdus, but Mishkan Stam, that too was counted by Moshe. Now the Rebbe says the second pshat is actually the Pashat pshat in the Pasik, because when you read the Pasik, Eila Pekudei HaMishkan, and then the Pasik articulates, it explains what is the Pekudei HaMishkan, Mishkan HaEd, Asher Pukad al pi Moshe, that he was the Pekudei HaMishkan, because we're saying Pekudei HaMishkan, and this was Pukad al pi Moshe. So that explains what the Pekudei HaMishkan, not that it's a separate Pekudei. Va'adrabe, hapirush haposhut, the simple meaning, the ein mikra yotze b'dei pshuto. A posik cannot go out from its simple meaning we want to explain it simply. V'asher pukad al pi Moshehu, in the that was counted by Moshe, is shekoyel eile pekudei hamishkan, that it applies to the pekudei hamishkan that was said in the beginning. Shebitchila oimer pekudei stam. First he says stam counted, doesn't say who counted it. V'achakach mefarish shehoya al pi Moshe, was under the direction of Moshe that the pekudei hamishkan. So it's talking about the Mishkan Stam that was Pukad al pi Moshe. So one pshat is the two pshat. One pshat is that the Mishkan HaEdus was counted by Moshe, and the other pshat is that Moshe counted the not only the Mishkan HaEdus, he counted the Mishkan Stam. But tzarich lahavin hakesher d'shnei hapirushim. This, once we understand what's the connection of Mishkan HaEdus, and we will understand what is the meaning that Moshe counted, we'll understand the connection between the two interpretations, as the Rebbe will explain that Moshe Rabbeinu counted the Mishkan HaEdus, or Moshe Rabbeinu counted all of the Mishkan, not only the Mishkan HaEdus. Okay, these are the opening questions that the Rebbe presents over here. So, first we're going to explain in levels of Kabbalah, what's the difference between the Mishkan HaEdus and Mishkan Stam, and then we'll explain in Avodas HaAdam, because Bechlal, the whole Mishkan is the also V'shachanti b'soicham kol echad ve'echad. So we have to see the two levels that the person brings down. One level is a Mishkan Stam, and then there's a level of Mishkan HaEdus, as the Rebbe will talk about the chilek between Torah and Mitzvahs and Teshuvah. Base. The kudas habiur bazahu. The point of the explanation in this is kidi isa belikutei Torah, like we find in Likutei Torah. The inyan hamishkon hu ashros hashechina. What is mishkon? Mishkon is the resting of the divine, of the Shekhinah to come down. Kemoshe Kosuv, this is what says in the Pasuk, V'asuli migdosh, so the Pasuk make for me the sanctuary. V'shachanti, that means that the Eibishter says, and then I will rest b'soichom amongst them. Meaning that the Mishkan was built in order to get the Shekhinah to rest, to bring down the Shekhinah b'soichom. That's the purpose of the Mikdash. Ushnei ha'inyonim shebi and the two aspects of the Mishkan. Mishkan stam or Mishkan ha'edus. We say Mishkan stam, and then we have the level of Mishkan ha'edus. Beis darges b'shechina. These are two levels in the Shekhinah. So we're bringing down the Shekhinah. One level is called Mishkan Stam, and one is called Mishkan Ha'edus, which he says the Shechinta Tato or Shechinta Ilo, the lower level of Shekhinah and the upper level of Shekhinah. As the Rebbe will explain the level in Api Kabbalah, that bringing down the level of Malchus, that level of Shekhinah, and also upper level of Shekhinah is bringing down the level of Bina. Through the building of the Mishkan, you bring down two levels. You bring down the Mishkan, which is the Shechinta Tato, which is Malchus, and you also bring down the Shechinta Ilo, which is the level of Bina. But that's the way it is in the level, in the Beis in the Mishkan that we built. But also, how do we interpret it, the two levels of Shekhinah by the person? Vapi hayadua, based on what is known. Shekol echad mi Yisrael, hu mishkan umigdash lo yisbarich, that every one of the Jewish people is a mishkan and a migdash, a resting place and a sanctuary for him, blessed for Hashem. Where is this based on? That's based on the pasuk in Maimer Azal al haPasuk, as our sages of blessed memory said on the verse when it says "V'asuli migdosh v'shachanti b'seicham." You make for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell amongst you. The pasuk doesn't say I will rest in it, in the migdosh that you make me, but I rest amongst you. B'seichai loy nemar. Doesn't say in it, in the Mikdash that you built, Allah b'seicham amongst you. So the sages say that it means b'seich kol echad ve'echad miYisrael, that the Eibishter rests by every single year. So since we are also making a Mishkan for Hashem, and in this pasuk it says that there's two levels of Mishkan, the way we learned in Likutei Torah. You have the upper level of Shekhinah and the lower level of Shekhinah. So because we also apply it to a Yid, by every Yid who makes the Mishkan, move on, it's understood, the Shnei Ha'inyonim Shebe Mishkan. These two aspects of the Mishkan, which is Mishkan Stam, or Mishkan Ha'edus, the Mishkan Stam and Mishkan Ha'edus, as we said from the Likutei Torah, the Shechina Tato and the Shechina Ilo, Hem Gam Mishkan the Yisrael. And this is also by the Mishkan of a Yid. He has the two levels of Mishkan Stam and Mishkan Ha'edus. Vapi Maimer Azal. So the Rebbe says, based on the Maimer Azal, the Rebbe is going to explain now what are the two levels. One level of Mishkan is the Avodah of Torah and Mitzvahs. That's the Mishkan Stam. And then you have Mishkan Ha'edus, that's the level of Teshuvah. So the sages of blessed memory say, Al Haposik Mishkan HaEdus. So we're going to explain now why is Mishkan HaEdus? Why is it called the Mishkan of Testimony? Because Edus he L'choil Boye Oilam. This is a testimony. The Mishkan becomes a testimony for all those who are in this world. Sha'akadosh Baruch Hu Nisratze Yisrael. That Hashem has appeased and became willing to the Yidden. He has a rotzin for the Yidden. Why? Because you see that the Eibishter rested the Shechina. That means that Hashem sort of forgave them, was nisratze to them. So you see that the Mishkan Edus has to do with the level of Teshuvah. It's a testimony that the Eibishter has forgiven them, which basically means that they made a mistake and they were forgiven. So Yesh Loimar. So based on this, we can say the Zeh She Yisrael He Mishkan Stam. When Yidden are Mishkan, that's not a testimony. It's just Mishkan Hu Al Yidei Ho Avodah the Torah Mitzvahs. That is through the Avodah of Torah Mitzvahs you become a Mishkan. That's general. The Zeh She Mishkan Ho Edus. And the fact that we become Mishkan HaEdus Hu Al Yidei Avodas HaTeshuvah, that is through this service of Teshuvah, because that is why the Mishkan is called Edus, that the Eibishter was Nisratze, because that represents the level of Teshuvah. So that the Rebbe comes up with this idea that the two level in Avodas HaAdam is the level of Mishkan Stam, is the Avodah of Torah mitzvahs plain, and the avodah of Mishkan HaEdus that the Yid brings down represents the level of Teshuvah, because that is the simple meaning also of Mishkan HaEdus as a testimony that the Eibishter has forgiven them after they failed by making the Egel. So how does this fit with the two interpretations that we said, with the interpretation of Likutei Torah in the Kabbalah, that the Mishkan Stam is Malchus and or Shechina Tator, and Mishkan Ha'edus is Shechina Ilah. V'yesh lekasher zeh, so we can tie this Imam Muva Li'il Milukut Torah with that was brought before from the Likutei Torah. The Mishkan Stam or Mishkan Ha'edus, the two levels of Mishkan, of Stam and Mishkan Ha'edus, Heim Shechinta Tato or Shechinta Ilah. That's the lower level of Shechina and the upper level of Shechina, which also connects to the same idea of Torah, Mitzvahs, and Tshuva. Kishchinta Tato, because the lower level of Shechina, He Malchus, that's the level of Malchus. Ushchinta Ilah, the upper level of Shechina, He Bina, that's Bina. So the difference between Torah, Mitzvahs, and Tshuva is the difference between Malchus and Bina. Malchus, a king. A king gives decrees. That's the level of Torah Mitzvahs. But the level of Tshuva is in Bina. Val derech zeh hu achiluk bein havodah the Torah Mitzvahs lavodah the Tshuva. So now it's going to fit the same thing as the Alter Rebbe says that Shechina Ilah and Shechina Tato, similarly is the difference between the avodah of Torah Mitzvahs and avodah of Tshuva. Shekiyum ha-mitzvahs, mitzvahs ha-melech, the observance of mitzvahs, mitzvahs of the king, hu b'malchus. That's in the level of malchus. Mitzvahs are fulfilled by the level of malchus because the king is the one who malchus. And teshuvah, that's a melech, he gives mitzvahs, gives commands. That's why it's malchus. U'teshuvah hi b'bina, and teshuvah is in the level of bina. So that fits in with the Shechina Ilah, Shechina Tato. Gam yesh loimar. Well, the Rebbe says we can say even more than that. We can say that the level of Mishkan HaEdus is not just teshuvah, but it's the higher level of teshuvah. It's tshuva law. Tshuva tato becomes part of Torah mitzvahs because that's includes a Torah mitzvahs. This is generally the Mishkan includes even tshuva, but the level of Mishkan Edus is tshuva law, a higher level than tshuva. Gam yesh loymar. There's what we can also say. The kivon sheham Mishkan. Since the Mishkan in general, close HaMishkan, all of the Mishkan is an Edus, Hoya Kapora al Chet HaEgel. It was an atonement for the sin of the Egel. So therefore, we can say Pekudei HaMishkan Stam, Lochen Gam Mishkan Stam. Even when it says Mishkan Stam is also Nichleles Gam Avodas HaTshuva, that also includes in it the Avodas HaTshuva. So the Mishkan by the Avodah, we say that includes Tshuva as well. V'hachiluk be Mishkan Stam and Mishkan HaEdus. So what is the difference between Stam Mishkan and Mishkan HaEdus? She Mishkan Stam hu Tshuva Tato. That Mishkan Stam is the lower level of Tshuva. That's generally the atonement for the sin of the Egel, which is included in Mishkan Stam. But Mishkan HaEdus hu Tshuva Iloh, that is the higher level of Tshuva. So if we say that the Mishkan HaEdus is Tshuva Iloh, this even fits better with the interpretation of Likutei Torah that it is Bina, that it's Tshuva Iloh, it's Shechina Iloh, Shechina Tato. V'zeh masim oid yoser, this would even fit better im hamuva li'il Likutei Torah, with that which brought down before Likutei Torah, Mishkan Stam or Mishkan Edus Heim Shchinta Tato Malchus or Shchinta Ilo Bino and Shchinta Ilo is Bino. Now, if we say that Mishkan Edus is Tshuva Ilo, this fits better with the Likutei Torah that says that the Mishkan Stam is Shchinta Tato is Malchus and Mishkan Edus is the Shchinta Ilo is in Bina. Why? Because the difference between Tshuva Tato and Tshuva Iloh, Tshuva Tato is to bring down Toshuv K. Tshuva is to bring down the Hay. But the lower level of Tshuva is to bring down the last Hay, Yud K, Vav K. You separate the Hay from the Vav through Averis. So then you do teshuva, you bring the hay back up to the vav. That's the teshuva tato. But the teshuva ilah brings back the upper hay. Toshum hay, the upper hay, that's the level of bina. So that fits with the idea that the two Mishkan ha'edus is the level of Shechinta ilah. Tshuva tato he toshuv ke tato malchus. The tshuva, lower level of tshuva, that's bringing back the lower hay from Yud Ke Vav Ke, the hay that comes after the Vav. That's bringing back malchus. But tshuva ilah is he toshuv ke ilah. But there tshuva ilah, that's to bring up the upper hay. Yud is chochma and ke is pina, the hay from the Shem Havaya, that's level of Bina. So Baal Pi Hadeya. So there's opinion. There's an opinion. We're learning now that the Mishkan is all for Averis, regular tshuva. That would be the Keitata. That's simple level of teshuva. But there's an opinion shahat sivui v'asuli migdash v'gam nidvas hamishkon, that the command to make the sanctuary and also the actual gifts for the mishkan, they came before the sin of the egel. Sha'oz hayu kol Yisrael b'madregas tzadikim. So then all the Yidden were tzaddikim. It wasn't the level of tshuva b'chlal, because that opinion, the Yidden word tzaddikim. Yesh loymar. This is based on the Zohar. The Zohar explains why did the women have to take off the nizmei zohov? Because they didn't have any gold left because they gave it all away for the Mishkan. It means that the Nadav and everything was already done before the Chet of the Egel. The Yidden were then in the level of Tzaddikim. So over here, we're not talking about the Edus for the Tshuva, for the Egel, according to this opinion. We're talking about Tzaddikim. So Yesh Loimar, we can say the Shtei HaBechinas Shebe Mishkan. So what are the two levels on the Mishkan? Mishkan Stam or Mishkan HaEdus. Hem Shtei Bechinas B'Avodas HaTzadikim. So then this is two levels in the Madrega of Tzadikim, because it's not anymore about Baal Tshuva, because in this opinion they were all Tzadikim. So it's in two levels in the Madrega of Tzadikim. And the Rebbe explains, Yesh Loimar, so the Kutter explains that the fact that he's not just a Mishkan who al yidei kiyum mitzvahs asay, that's the positive mitzvahs. We're talking about tzaddikim, not in tshuva, the positive mitzvahs. Mishkan ha'edus hu al yidei kiyum mitzvahs leisasay. And this, that it's a Mishkan HaEdus, that is by fulfilling the Loisasa. So the Mishkan is Mitzvah Sasei, Stam, Mishkan HaEdus is Mitzvah Loisasa. The previous explanation is Mishkan Stam is Tzadikim, and Mishkan HaEdus is Baal Tshuva. But here, according to that opinion, they're both in the level of Tzadikim. Mishkan is the level of mitzvah sasei, and Mishkan ha'edus is the mitzvah loisas, fulfillment of mitzvah loisas. Ula yesh loimar, and the Rebbe adds now, maybe we can say sheshnei ha'inyonim de Mishkan ba'avodas hatzadikim, that these two avodas Mishkan in the work of tzadikim, it's also in the service of Hashem in the inner koiches. Not only, as we're explaining now, the connection between kiyum mitzvahs aseh and kiyum mitzvahs lo aseh. These are both practical, doing mitzvahs aseh and not doing mitzvahs lo aseh. But the Rebbe says also to explain in the Avodas HaTzadikim, in the Avodah Koiches HaPnimim, what's the difference between Mishkan and Mishkan HaEdus. Mishkan Stam, who Avodas HaLev. Mishkan Stam, without Edus, that is the service of the heart. Mishkan HaEdus, but when it says Mishkan HaEdus, that's the service with the mind. You serve Hashem with your heart, and you serve Hashem with your mind. Serving Hashem in your heart is the Mishkan that you bring down the Shekhinah in the heart. And serving Hashem with your mind is the Mishkan HaEdus, which brings down the level of Mishkan HaEdus as through the service of the mind, as the Rebbe will continue to explain in the mind. So we can also connect this with what explained Likutei Torah, because here we in the Pashat Pshat, as in this Pshat, it's mitzvah saseh, mitzvah sloi saseh. Here we're saying that it's the avodah of the heart and the avodah of the brain. The Rebbe is going to explain how mitzvahs aseh are essentially connected to the heart, and the mitzvahs lo saseh are essentially connected to the mind. So it fits with that explanation. The Rebbe says that's what we can say, that there is a connection. Mitzvahs aseh are associated with the vavke of the Shem Havaya. And mitzvahs loisas are associated with the yudke. Again, the vavke is in the level of malchus. That's the level of midas, and the yudke is the moichin, and that's the avodas hamoyach. Yes, the kashes and manvur b'kuteter shnei inyon the mishkan. The two ideas of the mishkan, hey mitzvahs asay or mitzvahs loisaseh. So these are mitzvah loisaseh. Even the Rebbe is explaining now leiv and moyach, but the Rebbe says that's connected to asay and loisaseh. Ki mitzvahs asay heim bevavke midas, because midas mitzvahs asay are in the level of vavke of the Shem Havaya, because the vav zov bekei achreina malchus, so that's the zeir ampin. Those are the midas. The zeir ampin and the keim. That's the vavke. Mitzvahs loisas are connected heim beyudke. That's the meichin, because yud chochma kei bina. So the avodas halev and avodas hamayach fits with the Likutei Torah explanation that it's mitzvahs asa, mitzvahs loisasa. Over there, in the Likutei Torah, he explains that the connection between mitzvahs asay with the idea of mitzvah of midas and mitzvahs loisasa. Shasa and Lysis as explained over there in the Likutei Torah. Okay, let's leave this here. And Be'ezrat Hashem will be Mamshich tomorrow. Yeah? Okay.
Yes, bye bye. See you tomorrow.